And what this tragedy reminds us of is that we come together at times of tragedy in a way that really brings out the best expression of America's spirit. You know, this is about a sense of urgency. It's about a sense of justice. People have been brought down by this tragedy, but their resilience, their strength of character is driven by the belief that we can work together to rebuild. And I was so inspired today in caucus to hear so much support for a supplemental and to say no idea of offsets. We're not going to have offsets here. This is tragedy. If this nation were being attacked by a foreign enemy, we wouldn't sit around and play partisan games or have political dialogue over what to do, but we'd go right to the table and say, this is what is needed, let's make it happen. And that's what I think we need to have here. We need the American response to come forward and react in a way that really has that American spirit all about it. And this is how we built America, one community at a time, putting together the strengths that are all released here in this country and able to be expressed in magnanimous terms. And this is what's so important. We're going to rebuild America by making it an America. Our workers are raring to go, and there are jobs that can invest the power of that genius in all sorts of ways. Infrastructure needs that are out there in the traditional sense, or in the more creative or updated sense with broadband and a transmission grid system that needs to be upgraded so as to speak to what is a vulnerability in our system. So there's a lot of work there waiting to happen. We need to invest, and we need to do it in a way that doesn't have us groping for offsets. There's no more important issue right now than jobs, job creation, job retention. Let's make it happen. And as we do it, let's make it respond to the tragedies that I see in my district over the last week and a half, and that we heard about today in caucus from other colleagues.
Let me just thank you very much, and you're quite correct about how we pay for all of this. We know that we're going to be borrowing money to rebuild communities, as we should and as we must, and as it is our purpose in a community. But in doing that, we must be very careful not to offset that expenditure in some way that harms others, for example, the educational system. Now, tomorrow, we have a bill on the floor dealing with charter schools and the funding of charter schools, both the physical plant as well as the educational programs in charter schools. It seems to me that if a charter school is to be built, or any school for that matter, it's our tax money, either local or federal or state tax money, that money ought to be used to buy American-made equipment, American-made roofing, American-made concrete and steel, so that our tax money is used to buy American-made. And if you want to use your own money, and anybody out there that wants to go buy a solar cell for their house, and they're using their own money, fine, buy anything you want to buy. But if you want to use our tax money as a subsidy for that solar system, then by golly, it ought to be an American-made solar panel. Not one made in China, but rather one made in the United States. Now, I have two bills that deal specifically with that. One in the energy that says, hey, you want an energy subsidy to put up this big energy, clean, green solar power plant? Good, we need that clean energy. But use that tax subsidy to buy American-made equipment. That way we can rebuild our American manufacturing base. Similarly with transportation. In transportation, we all pay 18.5 cents on every gallon of gas on the federal excise tax. It's billions of dollars. It's used to build the roads. It's used to repair the bridges. Not enough now to keep us going, but nonetheless, billions of dollars a year. Well, is that tax money used to buy American-made buses and American-made trains and American-made steel and concrete? Not really. But we need legislation that says our tax money is going to be used to buy American-made equipment. Mr. Tonko?
Yeah, Representative Garamendi, thank you again for bringing us together. But I noticed in the listing of dynamics that you have research indicated there and education, and I'd say / higher education. But I witnessed testimony of those investments yesterday in my district with a group called Ener-G-Rotors. And they're actually taking the waste heat market in this country and retrofitting it so that they capture that as a byproduct in the industry, in different industries, and they make certain that it's utilized to add to the energy supplies that that industry might need. Now, what happens there? Well, the genesis of that story is that ideas, again, were thought up because of the investment of education and higher education. This brain was ignited to come forward with this idea that would capture heat, and that heat market, waste heat market, is a precious commodity now. So instead of it just going up into waste, it is captured, recaptured, brought into the energy grid for that particular industry. We're addressing greenhouse gas emissions to the positive. We're reducing those, and we're reducing the energy supply that this industry needs, and we're creating jobs in this incubator startup. They came up with this idea. This took investment in research dollars. It took tax credits from the federal government to buy in the commitment from the private sector. It produced the equity that they needed simply with the tax credits that were provided, and all lived happily ever after. There's a win-win-win scenario here that was produced, and that's grounded here in America, and we can export this intellect, this concept, to people around the world. We begin to be the agents that deal with the waste heat market. What a wonderful concept. And that's how you grow jobs. And they're projecting within a few years 120 jobs in this concept. This is wonderful. This is what we're talking about as a Democratic caucus, investing into the intellectual capacity of this nation in a way that responds to challenges that confront us this very day, and where we can grow our energy independence, grow jobs through investing in ideas, moving ideas along. Research equals jobs. Research equals jobs. You can't say it over enough and often enough.
Well, you're absolutely correct on that. I want to